I'm Edna Oakes, and this is my husband George. Both our parents were Methodist missionaries in Rabaul, New Britain, before the war. I'd like to introduce some of our artefacts that we are donating to the museum. My father, Arthur, and my mother, Jean, were only a young couple when they married and went to New Britain as Methodist missionaries. They went down to the Nakanai area to the mission station called Malalia.
In 1932.
In 1932. This is the map of New Britain and showing the Nakanai area belonging to the Methodist mission, and Malalia, the Methodist mission station, where my parents were from 1932 to 1935. Some of the artefacts that we have here are quite interesting, really. The dog's teeth and this necklet here, an ornament, actually appear in Parkinson's book, 30 Years in the Pacific, written in the early 1900s. And some of the things, like the shells, for instance, are interesting because they're used for cutting the vegetables. They're cutting up the sweet potato and the vegetables. But I feel the most interesting thing in the collection is this basket over here. The Nakanai people were famous for making trays and food baskets. This actually is a food basket, but the story regarding this basket and why it's close to my heart is that my mother was expecting twins and hoping to go to Rabaul for the birth. Unfortunately, we were born early and were very, very small, and this was my basket. My mother says we lay in our baskets, both of us, for nearly 3 months and kept with water bottles and hot water bottles to keep us warm. These were just village dogs that ran around the village, and they were using their teeth as part of the decorations. Another use for the tambu shell was in this neck ornament from the Nakanai area, and it's called part of a man's ceremonial dress, and you can see the little shells in between with a vine or something they've used here between the shells.
My name is George Oakes, and I was a patrol officer in charge of Pomio from 1959 to 1963. When we left Pomio, the people of Pomio gave us a set of clubs which their forefathers had used in fighting, probably 50-60 years before that date. The clubs, I never saw the clubs in operation in fighting at all at Pomio, and I didn't even know they existed until they were given to us. One's a pineapple club and one's a big heavy club. They're made of hardwood, and I've always treasured them. The clubs that were given to me are pictured in Parkinson's book, which was published in 1902. You can see the heavy club in the middle and the pineapple type clubs as well.
On behalf of my brothers and sisters, I'm very happy to donate this collection to the Australian Museum. I hope very much that future generations of the Nakanai people or people elsewhere in New Guinea may view these artefacts and photos and be able to know how their forefathers lived long ago and used some of these things. Because after all, it is their history.